Good afternoon, viewers and listeners of Concerned Citizens Media. Thank you for joining me again. January the 15th, 2021. I just start by to share a couple of news. So thank you for joining me. The first one is a press release by OLF, OLA High Command. This is concerning the Eritrean troops redeployment in Oromia region. I will read, it's a one-page statement. Having failed to retake areas liberated by the Oromo Liberation Army in Western Oromia, the ruling regime has redeployed Eritrean troops into West Wallagga, Kellam Wallagga, and areas in the neighboring Benishangul Gumuz state. Currently, Oromia state forces and members of the Eritrean Defense Force comprise the majority of regime-affiliated troops in Western Oromia. The federal military has resigned itself to a supportive role by undertaking aerial attacks using drone strikes and helicopter gunships. These aerial attacks have led to a high civilian death toll as they are used on highly populated targets within towns and villages. It should be remembered that Eritrean soldiers were first deployed into Oromia in April of 2021 before being withdrawn later that year due to international scrutiny. During that time, they committed several extrajudicial killings of civilians, the most heinous being the massacre of 7 farmers in the Sayo Nole district of West Wallagga on May 3rd, 2021. Outside of Oromia, the conduct of Eritrean forces has received widespread attention due to the countless atrocities they committed in Tigray. The Abiy regime has invited these forces into Oromia with the calculation that the international community will continue to turn a blind eye on his actions within Oromia and the border south of the country. We call upon the global community to turn their eyes to the brutal means that this regime is employing in the south of the country in order to preserve its illegitimate rule. As we have stated before, the Oromo Liberation Army will take all legitimate measures necessary to ensure the safety of civilians of all nations and the nationalities that reside in Oromia. Victory to the Oromo and all oppressed peoples. OLF, OLA High Command, January 14, 2022. So that is a press release on the redeployment of Eritrean troops into Oromia region again. They tried in 2020 and they committed some atrocities, and now they are coming back to Oromia region to do the atrocities they committed in Oromia region before, also the genocide and all other brutalities they committed in Tigray region Now they are ready to do it. So the international community, EU, US, United Nations, they should be aware of this redeployment of Eritrean troops into Oromia region and uh, do something before the war crime repeated in Oromia. That is a call from OLA-OLF Command Center. Balderas for Genuine Democracy calls on federal government to destroy TPLF. At a press briefing held on Thursday, January 13, 2022, Balderas for the Genuine Democracy Party, Balderas, whose leader Iskandar Nagga and 4 others were recently released, criticized the federal government's order to prevent defense forces from entering the Tigray region and release TPLF's former senior leaders. The federal government should go as far as it can to exterminate TPLF, the party said. The federal government's decision to wind up military operations before ensuring the sovereignty of the nation is very dangerous, the party said, adding, the TPLF still has the military capacity that threatens the nation's integrity, Balderas stated. Balderas also criticized the release of top TPLF leaders who were freed on the same day as Balderas leaders. The discontinuation of their charges defies the rules of law, the party said. The founder and the chairman of the party leader, Iskandar Nagga, said, the government cannot be limited by borders. He continued, the ruling party might have made the decision, but the government cannot be afforded this choice. The prime minister must keep the promise he made to protect the nation, Iskandar Nagga said. Credit for this one at this standard. So that's the intention of the Balderas. Is a party good on the name, Balderas Genuine Democracy Party. Genuine Democracy Party and calling for continuation of the war. So the name and the action doesn't go together. This is a press statement, not a press statement, it's a media note for Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, FEE, and Special Envoy, the new Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, David Starfield. So this is on the press release. Not a press release, media note. These individuals traveling to Riyadh, Khartoum, and Addis Ababa. Assistant Secretary Mali Fee and the newly appointed Special Envoy for the Horn of Africa, David Starfield. Starfield will travel to Saudi Arabia, Sudan, and Ethiopia from January 17 to 2022. While in Riyadh, Assistant Secretary Fee and the Special Envoy Starfield will attend a meeting of the Friends of Sudan intended to marshal international support for the UN Integrated Transition Assistance Mission to Sudan in its effort to facilitate a renewed civilian-led transition to democracy. Following the Friends of Sudan meeting, the Assistant Secretary and a Special Envoy will travel to Khartoum, where they will meet with pro-democracy activists women and youth groups, civil society, military leaders, and political figures. Their message will be clear. The United States is committed to freedom, peace, and justice for the Sudanese people. Finally, in Ethiopia, the Assistant Secretary and Special Envoy will follow up on the President Biden constructive phone call with, with Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed on January 10. They will encourage government officials to seize the current opening for peace by ending their airstrikes and other hostilities, negotiating a ceasefire, releasing all political prisoners, restoring sustained humanitarian access, and laying the foundation for, for inclusive national dialogue. Credit U.S. State Department. So the new special envoy for the Horn of Africa and the Assistant Secretary for African Affairs coming to Ethiopia and Khartoum and Saudi Arabia. So I hope they will be successful in stopping this endless bloodshed still going on, especially the air bombardment still happening. So that's all I have for reading today, and I have one video for today. I try to make it short. Thank you again. There you go. This is a different one. It's a protest supporting the military coup in Mali. It's different than the Sudanese.
From Bamako to Buguni and even Timbuktu. A show of support for the country's military-backed government of transition, which is facing international sanctions and increasingly isolated. The West African body ECOWAS imposed sanctions on Mali last Sunday after coup leader and head of Mali's transition, Assimi Goïta, announced a delay in February's scheduled elections. In response, ECOWAS shut land and air borders to the landlocked country, halted financial transactions, froze Mali's government access to the regional central bank. Since the prices of basic necessities are on the rise and the state is running low in cash.
The sanctions are against us Malians. We do not need those international organizations like the West African body ECOWAS to tell us what to do. Why are they interfering in our affairs?
The demonstration started with a prayer for peace in a country torn by war. Millions are displaced, thousands have been killed. Despite the presence of EU, UN, French and West African troops, groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIL are gaining ground. For Goïta, who took power in a coup in 2020, finding peace starts with extending his time in power and hiring Russian fighters to help the Malian army go from defeat to victory.
Mercenaries of the Wagner Force are present in a significant way. These mercenaries are former Russian fighters who are transported by Russian planes, who are equipped with Russian weapons, but at this time the Russians say that they do not exist.
Seeing a step back in democracy, the 10 European nations deployed in Mali to combat armed groups may remove their troops.
We want to remain engaged in Mali, but it must not be at any cost.
Despite the pressure, many Malians see in this crisis a moment of national unity, waving the nations and Russian flags side by side, an act of defiance in the face of uncertainty. Nicholas Hawk, Al Jazeera.
Okay, so that's the choice the Malians making. They are happy with the military coup. They are supporting their military leaders. We don't know what they see in the military, what they plan for the country. I think this is a different take. than the Sudanese. The Sudanese are coming every day, every other day for the civilian-led leadership in the country. Now, Malians are coming against ECOWAS and against the United States and others. You know, the United States and the ECOWAS, they are looking for a civilian leadership or a peaceful transition, peaceful democratic transition in Mali. So now the people are saying, "Oh no, don't interfere with our business. We are happy with it. We are okay with the military coup." So we'll see. That's a very different opinion. Thank you again for joining me. I will be back with other news and update. You know, on the other take, the situation in southern part of Ethiopia, the drought is very devastating. It was concealed by the government at the time. The Ethiopian government want to tell the world Ethiopia doesn't have hunger, Ethiopia is okay, it's about prosperity. Now that hunger, that drought is out of control. According to some report, it's more than 100,000 animals died. More than 100,000 animals died, where our people are depend on them for farming and for food and other things. So that's the prosperity. That's the prosperity. That is the feature of Ethiopia. And concerned citizens media appreciate the residents' cooperation, the border area, the Sidamas, the Gamos, and all they did to control this hunger, this drought. So thank you, the Gamos, thank you, the Sidamas, thank you all these, the border area to Bali for doing, bringing food for the cattle, helping the impacted families. That's very encouraging. But this thing is out of control. It's beyond the capacity of Ethiopia now. The whole world should participate, should help. It was, the government should call for international help, international aid for that area. That's all I'm going to say for today. Thank you. I will be back. So long, everyone.